On today's show, one supplier creates a new brake rotor that can significantly reduce brake dust. We look at which automakers are gaining and losing market share, and ZF shows how it would be easy to electrify an existing car. All that and more coming right up on Autoline Daily. This is Autoline Daily, the show for enthusiasts of the automotive industry. One of the best ways to track how each automaker is performing is to measure their market share. Through the first 10 months of the year, the U.S. market is down 1.8%, but some automakers are faring better than others. General Motors is up 1.1% this year, while Ford is down by 0.6%. Toyota is up 2.8%, while FCA is down nearly 7%. Honda is up 2%, while Nissan is up over 3%. GM's gain is important to note because the company has cut the number of fleet cars that it sells, and Honda has always avoided fleet sales. In the luxury segment, Audi is running away from the field with an 8% gain in market share. In fact, it is the only luxury brand to gain share this year. BMW and Lexus have each dropped more than 5%, while Mercedes, JLR, Cadillac, and Porsche have seen no change in market share so far this year. You know, I bet there are a number of automakers that wish they could just electrify an existing vehicle to help meet emissions, rather than design a whole new one. Well, the supplier ZF has a solution. MSTARS stands for Modular Semi-Trailing Arm Rear Suspension, and is a modular axle system that combines the electric motor, gear drive, differential, power electronics, and control software into one package. Shown here in a Volkswagen Touran, you can see that the modular axle takes up no more space than the conventional axle originally installed. ZF was able to squeeze rear-wheel steering into the setup as well. You may remember the advanced urban vehicle from the supplier we highlighted a few years ago that had front wheels that could turn at extreme angles for really good maneuverability. Well, ZF says it would even make sense to combine MSTARS with rear steering and the extreme turning front wheels for the ultimate turning radius in an urban vehicle. Particulate matter created by brakes is a big health hazard, and coming up next, we'll look at a new brake rotor that reduces that risk.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone Tires, your journey, our passion. Dow Automotive Systems, advanced materials that deliver better results. Lear, a global leader in automotive seating and electrical systems. And by Hyundai, better drives us.
When it comes to reducing emissions, most of the focus is on improving the engine, but there's another area of the car that contributes to poor air quality as well. Brakes and tires are responsible for 32% of driving-related particulate emissions, and half of that is brake dust. That's why Butterus Gus, a subsidiary of the German supplier Bosch, has developed the iDisc. It generates up to 90% less brake dust compared to a conventional disc rotor. The friction rings of the disc are mechanically, thermally, and galvanically treated before being covered in a tungsten carbide coating. Not only is brake dust greatly reduced, but the iDisc has similar performance to a ceramic brake, doesn't wear as fast or corrode, and has up to twice the service life of a normal brake disc. Currently, iDisc is 3 times more expensive than a normal cast iron brake rotor, but 3 times less expensive than a ceramic one. And the price will likely drop once production increases. A European automaker will start using the iDisc starting this month. And speaking of reducing emissions, FCA and the Italian energy company Eni just formed a partnership to develop technology for compressed natural gas and liquefied natural gas powered vehicles. The two companies will also test a new alternative fuel, which is made up of 15% methanol and 5% bioethanol in 5 Fiat 500s in Eni's car sharing service. The fuel can reduce carbon emissions by 4%. What's the first thing a Formula One driver does after they get out of their car? They put the steering wheel back. For good reason, too. It's a hefty fine if they don't. Today, quick-release steering wheels are common across most levels of racing, and it's actually a technology that can be traced back to the early days of hot rodding. An article in the October 1957 issue of Rod and Custom magazine highlights aircraft machinist Jack Friedland of California, who realized it was going to be awfully cramped getting into his nearly finished slingshot dragster. So Jack turned his attention to the steering wheel. Using a precision lathe, he designed a mechanism that would make it easy to take off the steering wheel, yet be foolproof and safe. His solution was a new gadget called the quick-release steering wheel. Who knows if this is the first application of a quick-release steering wheel in a race car, but it would be awfully cool to know that a technology designed for a dragster 60 years ago is still relevant today. Coming up next, John responds to your questions and comments in You Said It.
Lighter, safer, stronger, quieter, and more sustainable. Tell us where you need to go, and we'll help you get there. Dow Automotive Systems. We don't succeed unless you do.
Whether it's on television, online, or through social media, Autoline knows how to effectively get your marketing message to the people you want to reach. Contact Stacy Eman today.
Now it's time for You Said It, where I get to answer some of your questions and respond to some of your comments. Well, Mark sure does not like buying new cars. I've always detested new car shopping, he says. The dealership is a high-pressure nightmare. That is why we loved our vehicle purchase made at Saturn. Super casual environment, friendly with no sales pressure. Well, Mark, I could not agree more. Salespeople have forgotten how to sell. In my experience, most of them are just clerks who know how to fill out the forms and tell me where to sign. Lisk saw our report on Ford experimenting with exoskeletons that their line workers wear to make their jobs easier. He kind of has a conspiracy theory. Maybe the testing of the exoskeletons are for the evil overlords to gather data on the movements required for tasks so humans can be replaced by robots. Well, someday robots will take over most of the jobs in a factory, but so far, humans are more adaptable and more innovative. Kurt W. says, would be great if some future Autoline After Hours discusses where all these recent supercars, Dodge Demon, Jeep Trackhawk, Corvette ZR1, etc., can be driven in ways that make sense. Track stars, yes, but on local roads? Well, Kurt, the days of driving 10/10ths on local roads are pretty much over. There are 120 million more people in the United States today than when I was a crazy teenager doing four-wheel drifts in my dad's station wagon out on back roads. Today, those back roads are major arteries that are choked with traffic. Ken Foster is not very impressed with his plug-in hybrid. I've owned a 2013 C-Max Energy since new and have monitored battery capacity over its 4 years and 40,000 miles. I have already lost 25% capacity. Needless to say, this is very disappointing to me and will probably make this car the last hybrid I own until the technology improves. Well, my advice to everyone out there is do not buy any electrified car. Just lease them. The technology is changing and improving so fast that whatever you get today will be obsolete by the time your lease is over. Jim Simmons wants to know why European regulators are mad that German automakers colluded to use small tanks for urea fluid for diesels. What impact would the capacity of the AdBlue tank have on the performance of the emission system? A smaller tank would just require more refills at shorter intervals. Well, Jim, the German automakers violated the spirit of the law. They are accused of colluding to inject less AdBlue into diesel exhaust so that a smaller tank would last longer. Diesels in Europe pump out much higher levels of NOx than regulations call for, and by doing this, the German automakers have created a massive backlash against diesel engines. And finally, you know how the old saying goes, if they give you lemons, make lemonade. Edward Arakelian wrote in to say, "Hi, Autoline Network. My Fiat has been rocking a hybrid sound system since day one. All of the panels vibrate on poorly paved city roads, creating a beautiful symphony of rattles. Well, Edward, I have to say, you made me laugh out loud with that one. Hey, we really love your comments and questions, so keep them coming. And a programming note here. Autoline will be off the air tomorrow and Friday. No Autoline After Hours tomorrow either. We're all going to be celebrating Thanksgiving. But we will be back on Monday, and I'm headed out with part of the crew to cover the LA Auto Show. So be sure to tune in next week as we bring you the news, the information, and the access to the people who make this automotive industry run.